Yeah. Good evening, everyone. And before we start, wish you all a very happy new year, a happy and a safe one indeed. This year, we hope things will get back on track. So, yeah. And I welcome you all to the student diary session this time. So, earlier you might have uh, joined the sessions with alumni and the faculty of PGP Max. So, this is among one of the firsts that we are having. So I present to you the students of PGP Max who are pursuing the course currently. So, before we start, let me set the event flow. So first, I'd like to, introduce all the panelists here, and after that, they'll speak for a few minutes about themselves, about the work that they do, and the stage that they are currently. And after that, we'll have few questions, posted to them. And once they're done with the questions, we'll open the session for Q&A. If you have any questions, for them about the program, you can post it on the Q&A box, and we'll pick the question from there directly and ask our panelists to answer them. And if you have any specific question to any specific panelist, please do mention their name so that I can take up the question accordingly. So presenting to you the PGP Max students currently, we have with us Cedric. Cedric is the Group Synergies Director at Frigoglass. He's based out of Greece. Then we have Swati Mukherjee, who's the Solution Manager at Nokia. She's based out of NCR. We have Rajkumar, who is the Director at Microsoft currently and is based out of Hyderabad. And then we have Rituparna Ghosh, who's an entrepreneur, and she's again based out of NCR. So starting the session, Cedric, why don't you start with your introduction first?
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's 1:30 here in Greece. I'm Cedric. I'm French. I live in Greece, and I'm in the class of 2020 of the PGP Max, meaning that I'm coming every month. Okay, outside the pandemic, of course, I'm coming every month to India to follow the program. As we said already, I'm a Synergies Director of Frigoglass. So Frigoglass is a spin-off of Coca-Cola, Hellenic Bottling. That is one of the main bottlers of Coca-Cola in the world. The activity of Frigoglass is quite simple. I want to say simple. We are producing kind of fridges that can be very basic product to very advanced product to collect data, to process data, and to give insight to the bottlers in order to improve sales, because we're speaking about marketing coolers, okay? And we are also producing glass bottle. So as a spin-off, we are not working anymore only for Coca-Cola, but we are selling to all the bottlers. Can be Pepsi, can be Heineken, can be Carlsberg Group, okay? We have facilities everywhere in the world, and we are also producing in India, in Gurgaon, close to Delhi. So I have a team there. I am the Synergies Director of the company. So what does it mean? To be quite simple, I'm assisting the CEO in a cross-functional department project that can be everything on HR, on logistics, on marketing, on almost everything right now. I'm 42 years old and living in Greece for the last four years, in my company for 4 years. And the next step for me will be in Asia. It's one of the main reasons right now I'm following the program in India.
Thank you, Cedric. Rituparna, can we hear something from you?
Thank you, Smriti. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rituparna, and I have about 23 years of experience, a total of that. I have spent about 7 years in sales, most of it in HR, and then a couple of years in academia. So it's a mixed profile, as you can understand. And, off late, those titles that you get to see has always fascinated me. Chief Growth Officer, Chief Enablement Officer, those were making, it was something that was make me wonder if I were to take up a role like that, where I just don't concentrate only on HR or on sales or any of the other things, what would it take if I had to know business? So these career stints that I've had have transitioned over a period, and I've taken them up because of certain personal choices and the kind of career breaks that I've taken. And today I call myself an entrepreneur because I have moved on to thinking that, earlier I couldn't take this risk of having to start things of my own. But with time and with ISB happening, I saw a lot of people around me who are entrepreneurs. And I thought of taking that plunge, and I started a couple of things that I'm doing right now. Probably at a different forum I could share and maybe come back to all of you and talk about it. But at this point of time, we've not completed the course because of the pandemic. Otherwise, our cohort would have completed the course by October 2020. The way it has been, the journey that has been there, and the way I'm taking things in, whether it's for my entrepreneurship or the learning that I'm having, I think it's something where I'm cherishing every moment, I would say. And talking about, why ISB, you would get to know over a period because, I think the rest of them will also speak about it. There is a certain sense of, support that you get. And we'll talk about it as we go along. So I think that's a brief introduction. Any other questions that you have later, I could probably take up and be specific about what you would want to know.
Thank you. Thank you, Rituparna. Rajkumar, can we have a brief introduction from you?
Sure. Hi everyone. Pleasure to meet all of you virtually, although I can only see 5 in this gallery, but big hello to everyone and Happy New Year. It's great to be talking in 2021 and 2020, well and truly behind us now. I come with over 20 years of experience in information technology. Started off like most kids in the early 2000s. Out of college, in a startup, in a small startup as a developer, and then went on to, take on various roles within program management, operations, data management, etc. I'm currently with Microsoft, so just completed 3 years. My second stint in Microsoft, actually. The earlier stint was between I think it was 2007 to 2011. So it's been a fantastic journey, career-wise. And it was that point in time in the journey and life when I was looking forward to more opportunities and avenues to learn when I thought about PGP Max. Like Rituparna said, we will talk about why PGP Max and why ISB in due course. But really looking forward to the discussion. And thank you to Smriti and ISB for the opportunity to be on this panel. Looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you, and welcome to the discussion. Swati, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Smriti. So like everyone else on this panel, I've had a very streamlined journey. I completed my engineering in electronics and communication, and after that, the norm goes that you kind of get into one company. I've been in Nokia for past 12 years, so I've kind of learned and grown with the company. And I have a combination of operations and pre-sales experience. So I had like 5 years experience or 5.5 years experience of operations, and then I moved into pre-sales. Now, when I've been a part of this company and being a young leader, they kind of, saw the potential in me, and I was a part of this Gen Y program, where the leadership kind of says that, acknowledges the fact that, okay, you have some spark in you, and maybe we should work on developing it further. And I'm just opening a discussion about the PGP Max journey. I would not talk more about it like the rest of them, because I would like to, take all the questions and, start and try and touch on those points later on. But it was a very monotonous journey till then. So 10 years experience, thinking of, what to do, what not to do, whether to stick around with the company or not, and what was I lacking, because I was just, with an engineering degree, and whatever I learned was with this company itself. So I'll end it there, and we'll start the discussion, and then maybe you'll get to know me better.
Thank you, Swati.
Thank you, Smriti.
Thank you. So before we start the Q&A from the audience that we have here today, so I would like to ask all of you the question that at what stage of your career were you when you decided to do an EMBA or a PGP Max program? So basically, what led you to a PGP Max program? So Cedric, if you can start the conversation.
To be very honest with you, I started to think to do an MBA after 10 years. I'm working for the last 15 years, and 5 years ago, after 10 years working in the company, I started to say, okay, that's the moment for me, okay? Why I did not do it before, because I started the PGP Max, let's say last year, it's because I was not that comfortable. I mean, you need to have this 10 years of experience because you need to have the ground to build something on that, okay? Then the second point, you need to be, let's say, comfortable in your job, okay? So since I shifted company and I've changed already 2 jobs in my company because I've been promoted 2 and 3 times already right now, I needed to have at least 2 years in my MBA, in my position to do an MBA. Why? Because you will see that, we'll go more in detail right after. The main point about doing an MBA is to be very committed. Then you need to be able to be comfortable in your job and to be able to delegate. So you have to build your team, you have to trust your team, and you have to be able to shift in between your job and the MBA. Because when you are there, you will see, you will be 100% there. You will know that when you have to answer an email, it will be yes, it will be no, it will be nothing more because you don't have time to spare, for that. So the right time is that you need to have the proper ground before, okay? So it is different position, it is different experience, because you have to bring something. You need to be able to say, I have something to bring, in that long journey and to share with the people. This is one. And two, to say, I am ready to do the MBA, you need to be comfortable in your current position to be able to handle both the MBA and both your position. And this is very important. So for me, it was 2 years ago.
Thank you, Cedric. Raj, at what stage of career were you when you decided to do PGP?
Well, I mean, to be honest, roughly around the 12-year journey in my career, I did contemplate the PGP program in ISB. I was in Hyderabad back then, but then plans changed, life took different turns, and then boom, 2018, back in Hyderabad, and I was at that point in time where I was contemplating, doing a startup. When I landed my current role in Microsoft, which was again setting up a new team. So at that point in time, it was very evident that I needed to focus on various different aspects of global business, right? Be it as an entrepreneur or a senior member in the team, setting up a new team in India for a company like Microsoft, right? Various aspects of business, how operations is run. How budget management is done, finance, accounting, and at some point, even if I went down the entrepreneur path, various other aspects like marketing, sales, this breadth of skills was going to be required at some point in time as far as my career and future was concerned. And the question was, it was pretty, clear that I had to have an MBA program as part of my repertoire. But where was the next question? I didn't really think too hard because I live right next to ISB, so I didn't really have to look too far. But beyond that, data and all of that suggests that it's the best school for an executive MBA program in the country. And I had to do it, unlike Cedric, I couldn't travel outside of the country. So the question was, which was the number one institution I could go get those skills? The answer was pretty straightforward. So it was around that 2017-18 where at that juncture in career and life to look for more opportunities and avenues to gain those skills, which would set me up for the next 10, 15 plus years in the corporate world or as an entrepreneur. So that was the point when I decided, yeah, it was time. It's probably the right time personally for me to go and sign up for PGP Max.
Okay. Thank you, Raj. Sorry, Rituparna, if you want to throw some light on.
Yeah, sure. Sure. So after having spent about 20 years in the corporate, I kind of knew that I had to do something different. And I did not know what. And I was definitely not looking at a sales or an HR role. I was looking at something which would blend my skills into doing something more than what I was doing. And what I did was I thought that, if I were to think of a course or a learning, what is it that I would learn? I'll decide, but let me take a kind of a transition and move into a space so that I get more time to work on those and decide what I need to do. So that was probably a little of a miscalculation. I thought I'll join academia and I'll have a lot of time in my hand to do what I want to do. I realized that professors work as hard as any other corporate guy does, or perhaps even more. And 2 years of academia, as I said, I joined the university in Gurgaon and I taught there. I became a dean as well in those 2 years. Then there was a day when I realized that, no, this is not what I wanted to do. And then entrepreneurship happened, and ISB by that time had already happened. So these decisions about when happened at a time when you knew that you wanted to learn, you wanted to do more, you wanted to move out. And every time I have made these decisions of a change in the profiles that I spoke about, have been at a time when I've been doing extremely well in that particular role or in that particular profile. And so that's one. And why ISB? I think looked at all the options available in terms of credibility, market standing, acceptance. And I felt this is the best thing that I could do. If I could get through, then I think that'll be the best thing that will happen to me, because I had started working soon after my graduation. So I didn't have an opportunity to do a proper course or a management program. So I thought this is the best time and the best way I could utilize this opportunity. That's how it is.
Thank you, Ritu. Swati, I know you already touched upon the fact about when did you decide to join ISB. So, if you want to elaborate on it further.
Yes, Smriti. So, like I said, I had that potential in me, which was, of course, being recognized by the company as well. But somewhere down the lane, I of course knew that I'm going to do an MBA. Like Raj, I was also eyeing at PGP with a 5 years experience. But when you start working and you start doing well, you kind of are a little hesitant to take that break of a year and let go of everything that you've achieved so far. So I kind of pushed my decision till I reached the 10 plus year mark. And then I was at a point in my life where I had to decide if I want to go for a PGP, which I think a lot of these people in the in the group are also going to have these questions. So I was debating on the fact that if I should go in for a PGP for a 1 year program, or should I go in for a program like PGP Max, which is of course an executive education. So when I thought about it, to be very honest, after 10 years of experience, I already had a lot of concepts in my mind. I already had a lot of information about the way of working that the organization has. And at that point I thought that if I go back to something like PGP, which would be a basic fundamental, that's not going to be something that I would be cherishing. And the kind of classmates that I'm going to be having is not going to be of the same equivalent experience maybe. And the discussions are, and you basically learn from your colleagues. So there's a lot of learning, especially in a program like PGP Max, because every time we learn from each other more than anything else, because there are people from various industries with various experience, and be it any topic, everyone has an input and a very different perspective. So I might be just giving in a perspective from an engineering background, but then there would be a marketing angle to it. There might be a sales angle to it, and there are like different flavors of it. And this is the experience that I think I didn't want to let go. So being, of course, ISB being the premier institute for executive education, for sure, I was very clear about the fact that I wanted to do it from the best of best, and that's why ISB was like a checkbox for me. So that's pretty much my journey.
Thank you, Swati. So when I'm speaking to the prospective candidates, so I get a lot of questions, and what advice would you like to give to prospective candidates who have made up their mind, or they are still in the process of deciding that they want to do an EMBA program, but they're just not able to figure out which college as of now. So Swati, what advice would you give to them?
So the advice that I would like to give is two advices for sure. One, why are you doing this? Because you have to have it very clear in your mind why you're doing it. And because of the rigor of the course, you have to keep on revisiting it, because you would need to see that why you enrolled for such a course, because it's going to take a lot of your time, both personally, professionally. You have to be ready to give it 100%, actually more than 100%, if you really want to encash from this course, and where you want to do it from. Why I say that is because you have to be clear in your head, so that tomorrow if someone says that, why didn't you select so and so institute and why did you go for ISB, it should be crystal clear in your mind why you made the decision, because it's very important for you to agree on the fact that this kind of a program and the kind of what you're getting enrolled into is the best of best, and that is something that you have to keep in mind. So those would be my two pointers there.
Thank you, Swati. Cedric, your advice to the candidates.
I think like Swati, I will put 2 points. The first one, really, you have to build a team to support you for that journey. This is very important. As I said, the first time, I don't know, Swati or Raj can add on that, it was like a washing machine. I was thinking, listen, Cedric, you will read your email from 8 to 9, everything will be okay. You will wake up early. No, you will not wake up early. You are very tired. You have to make case study after. You are not expecting that. You do not expect what will happen. The PGP Max, there's really something that you have to deserve. You have to work hard for that to get it. It's not just you go, you sit and you leave. No. You have to work hard. And after the first time, it was very, very, very hard. Why? Because when you engage through the PGP Max, it's clear for you. It's clear for your company. But anyway, your colleagues will try to reach you out to ask questions, because okay, you are there, but maybe you can answer. It's just an MBA. It's just some study. No, you will not have the time. So the first one, be prepared and have the correct organization to support you, because the people, they will come to you anyway. The second point, it's about time management. Why I say that? You will learn how you can create value by, you have to give up some time on things to create value. For example, yes, you can answer the question in the best way for next week, but this is for tomorrow morning, guy. And you will see that is very complicated, because you have to apply yourself. You have to say, okay, this is the time frame. I will do my best in the next 2 hours, because I have another question. I have another topic for tomorrow morning. If not, you will get trapped. And at 6 a.m., you will still be drafting your question, So time management and build a team to support you, because you will see that. And when I say team, it's also your family. It's not something that you will be able to do alone. You will need your team, your colleague, and your family to support you. So this is the two advice for me: time management and try to delegate to people. That's it.
Thank you, Cedric. Raj, your advice to the prospective applicant.
I think Cedric and Swati have sort of clearly spelled out the purpose, the why. Why would you want to do an executive MBA? And where, we are talking about ISB here, so I think that question's answered. I would probably maybe just chime in with the when part, right? So, and that's different for different folks. And that can, in some sense, tie back to the why question as well. Like Swati mentioned, it's important to recognize and realize at what point in time you are on your individual career journey, your professional journey, your life journey. And then think about what skills you need to take your career forward. For me, it was pretty clear. If I had chosen the entrepreneur journey or continue in my current role in Microsoft, there were skills that I had to really acquire. So I think it's an individual's call when they get to that point. Maybe your mentors, your colleagues, your managers, leaders could advise you on that. But that answering that question as to when you want to take that is important, because like Cedric mentioned, the time management, the time involved. As we speak, just 30 minutes prior to the session, I was working on an assignment I have to submit tomorrow. And, we have family and friends around. So you have to take time out of that schedule to enjoy that as well. But it's important to recognize and realize at what point in time in your professional journey you are, and what additional skills do you need to move forward, let's say, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line. And that sort of helps you answer, what's the right time to do an executive MBA. Because, for example, if you want to completely shift directions on your career, maybe the MBA, regular MBA, could be more valuable than an executive MBA. But if you're looking to build on the experience and skills you've gained over a period of time, and then you want to sort of use that broadly across the organization in a lot more impactful and senior roles, then maybe an executive MBA. So it's up to you to decide when you've hit that point, and the decision becomes easy. I'll pause there.
Thank you, Raj. Rituparna, your advice to the candidates that we have.
Okay, so yeah, I completely agree with Swati, Cedric, Raj. The why is extremely important. You need to be clear why you want to do it. I mean, if there is any kind of concern, you can obviously state it and thrash it out. What I did was I spoke to quite a few alumni before I dived in, checking how it helped them. People who came from the kind of profile I came from, and otherwise also. So determining the why becomes very important. You see, today there is no dearth of information around you. I mean, if knowledge was the only thing that you went to a certain place to do an MBA, I think there is enough and more material all over. What makes a difference in a good curated or a good program is the way it's been put together and the kind of insights. And as Swati had mentioned, that the classroom where your cohort, your other batchmates come in and share their insights, and they give insights that help you to understand one problem, one issue from multi-dimensional aspects. That really makes a difference. That cannot happen when you were to read a material on the internet or watch a YouTube video and get to learn about something. So, so the next question is, so how much of time and effort and money do I invest in doing a program like this? Am I paying a price for that? Of course it is, because it takes a whole lot of work to be able to curate the kind of courses that we've gone through, the professors who have taught us. So if you're willing to look at those kind of aspects, I think that'll help you to determine the why. And it's not going to be easy, that I can tell you for sure. It's not going to be easy that you think that if I've enrolled, and if I've enrolled, then it's a cakewalk. It isn't. There have been nights we haven't slept, and all of them will agree to that. There have been assignments that had to be submitted at times when there were family programs, functions, and we are working away just to ensure that we submit it. We're learning, we are working late nights. So all those will happen. It's not going to be easy juggling work, family, as well as this course. And that's the reason, that's why it becomes very, very important, and even more stronger as a reason as to why you should take it up. So that's the advice. Be clear before you dive into it.
Thank you, Rituparna. That was a wonderful thought. So now, since the main idea is to connect all of you to the candidates, so not holding all of you and the candidates back. So I'll open up the session for Q&A. So if you have any questions to the panelists, audience, please feel free to write in the Q&A box. I'll pick it up one by one and ask them to the panelists. So we already have a few in the Q&A. So Rahul is asking, probably Raj, you can start with this. So how has the learning been given that when you had applied, you had imagined having in-person classes versus the current situation? From the cost perspective, do you still think it is worth given you missing the person interaction?
Well, I mean, it's clear that the in-person sessions are, I mean, that's something that we all look forward to, right? I mean, nobody could have predicted this situation that we are all having to deal with. So at the time of, I mean, there was no other option. You're only thinking about the in-class experience, and listening from the professor in person. In the classroom feel is completely different. So that you have that in mind when you sign up. But then, COVID strikes and everything on the planet changes. You don't really plan for that. You sort of make the best of the situation and the options that are offered to you. So yes, the experience has completely been been very different. But then given the circumstances, the learning element that was a primary motivation for me to, to sign up for PGP Max at that point in time. It was more about what additional skills can I learn? What is it that I lack today that will help me get ready for the future? At that point in time, the default was in-class experience, but then have I continued to learn in this new form of education being delivered? The learning still continues, and do I get to learn from my peers and partners in my class virtually? Yes. Would the experience be as good as in class? Maybe not. And it's a challenge that all of us are having to deal with every day. We learn on a daily basis, and we come to grips with what's offered and what is realistically possible at any given point in time. And that said, we've had a lot of good conversations with the ISB management on what's the way forward, right? We have one more term that's left, and we're looking forward to that. And we're working with the ISB management to see what best options can we look forward to. So to the original question, nobody was prepared for a virtual setup, but we're having to make do with what is available out there. And ISB, being the premier institution in the country, has done everything possible to make it experiential for the students. So yeah, it's been a bit of a shift away from what was originally in our mind, but then we continue to learn. And personally, that's been the biggest motivation for me to sign up for a course like this at this stage in my career, and I continue to learn. So the case studies are all out there. Our peers are there. The professors are world class. So the learning experience does not diminish. The value, the method in which it's delivered probably has changed, but yes, we are living in a different world right now.
Sure. Thank you, Raj. So we have a question for Cedric. How do you see the PGP Max program contributing to your thinking and career prospects? Do you see a tangible change that has happened in the roles?
Yeah, it's very good question. When I decided to go for MBA, I started to speak with my manager, the CEO of the company, and the CEO told me, listen, Cedric, you don't need that. You are good, you're doing well your job, you don't need that. Why? Of course, we will support, but why? You're already there, you understand well, you are fast learner, whatever you want. After 6 months, because the first half of the PGP Max is focusing on finance, on something that I was not expecting. We can speak more about that in detail. My boss came to me, oh, now we're speaking the same language, because I'm preparing the presentation for the board, most of the time doing a lot of cross-functional projects like that. And I was focusing on operation because this is what I know. Now I put dollars on the slide and I do understand what I'm doing and I know exactly what the people need. It's not about doing my job. It's helping my boss to show off. I'm making my boss a hero now because I do understand what it takes to be at the upper level, So it was a big change and they have recognized that. So if we want to speak, for example, of ROI, because I think this kind of question will come back after that, I always believe that an MBA, executive MBA, will help you to make a step up, and then you got promoted. I already got that promotion 1 year ago, and the promotion I got is covering the full fees of my MBA over the 2 years, In 2 years, I got the payback of my MBA. That includes the fees, that includes all the traveling to Hyderabad, So it was quite a big one. So at first, it was not that clear for the management because I was doing well my job. And now they understood that I'm doing my job better. And it has been already recognized. So yes, that was the right time for me. It was the right time for the company. So it had already a big plus in my career. The second point is thanks. Okay, let's see the positive. Thanks to the pandemic, I will get a second step up when I will be at the end, when I will got finally my MBA, because now I got it in advance, but now they will forget about that. And in 1 year, I know that when I will complete my MBA, it will happen again. So it's a big plus for me already.
Thank you, Cedric. So next question we have for Rituparna, since you are from the non-corporate sector, as we can say. So a person is asking, what difference do you feel between an ISB PGP Max program and how is it different from other good B schools in the country? And Is it worthwhile for a non-corporate person doing a PGP Max program?
It's for me the question, no?
Rituparna. Ritu.
Yeah, the two. Okay, first of all, you know, I went already to INSEAD. I am an alumni from INSEAD because I did a kind of a mini MBA that has been developed in between INSEAD and my former company. Okay? I wanted to go in Asia and I will go in Asia. When you're making MBA, of course, you want to get new skills, to meet people, and the knowledge is whatever you want. This is one. But also you want to make something different on your CV, okay? You want to do something different because for you people, you think that all the people are MBA. No, all the people, they are not engineer, and an engineer with an MBA is not everywhere. Even if you sit with your friend, your people, and they are an engineer and an MBA, you are already in the top 1% of the population if you have both. So it's already a competitive advantage. Most of European guys, if you look at that, they go in the same school. They go to INSEAD because INSEAD is a French school. If the people they don't know that, it's a French school located in Fontainebleau and in Singapore. They go to London Business School. They go next door. Okay, going to India, it was a big bet for me because nobody from Europe is going to India to school. Okay, sometimes they go in exchange program, but they don't go to follow as a student a program. India used to be, you know, destination for European guy for education 50 years ago. Not now. So I was looking to do something really different. The day I put ISB on my LinkedIn, the day or the week, the following week, I got a message from one ex-com member of Coca-Cola Group in Atlanta, reporting to Group CEO, telling me, wow, this is very interesting what you are doing. I was very surprised about that. So just that for me, it was, that makes sense, okay? This is the first point, okay? So I wanted to get the taste of India. I needed to get the taste of Asia. All the people in Europe, they are going to China. Okay, they go to INSEAD, and when they want to do something different, they go to China. But going to India right now as an European guy, it's like going in China to school 20 years ago. The people are still asking me, but why? And when the people ask that, I know it's a plus. The second point, my former company is making submarines, okay? It's a public company, and they are doing the submarines right now for India, you know, in Mumbai. So I know well the move in between the public job and the corporate job, let's say, if that's the question. We do have in the class someone from the public administration that is working in a big company. I mean, some maybe Raj or Swati can add on that. I mean, listen, when you are working top management position in a very big company, you have many interaction in between the corporate world and the public policy and the public regulation. So yes, of course, it's a plus. And again, all is about to build bridges in between the country, in between the sectors, in between the public and the private. And again, it's a competitive advantage, okay? All the people in the public administration, they may go on the same program. Going to ASB is something quite different, you know? So again, when you are doing something unusual, you are adding value to your profile. So I just want to tell you, it's a good decision.
Thank you, Cedric. Thank you. Rituparna, we have a question for you.
Sure.
You know, what advice would you give to people who are coming from a non-corporate sector to do this course?
Okay. See, there is no tag as corporate and non-corporate when it comes to learning. We want to learn, we want to establish a certain thing. So I've had a lot of batchmates with me who are entrepreneurs, who are working in social sectors, who are doing things that are not run of the mill. So, and they are there because they want to learn, they want to make a difference in whatever they would want to do. So I don't think we should, create the silo of being a corporate and a non-corporate. It does not really make a difference.
Sure. Thank you, Ritu. Thank you. Swati, we have a question specifically for you. There's a person who's, so mostly we have people who come from the IT sector. So what value adds would, PGP Max add in their career if they are specifically coming from an IT sector, because they've never had this general management exposure? So what advice would you give to them?
Correct. So I think it resonates well with me. So very nicely put across. But I'll give you an example of my career. Again, coming from telecom, I was completely a techie person. I had no clue about, what the business model looks like, what are these jargons which are there, what is the financial statement which is there. I would be completely lost when spoken about these things. So they when I had to think about all these things, there was something which was missing in my life. And I think most of the IT people will also resonate with that idea that there's something missing. So you have the functional expertise, you have the technical expertise, but when you're talking about the different aspects, and you have to grow in your career, right? So you're not going to remain like a solution consultant for the rest of your life, or a techie guy for the rest of your life. You have to move up the ladder, and when you're moving up the ladder, these things are very important to even communicate. Like Cedric mentioned that he was putting numbers in the slides. This is not his area, right? So he's coming again from an operation background where he has no idea about how the finance looks like. But when you're climbing the ladder, people talk about numbers. People talk about what kind of return I'm getting out of it. When you are presenting a project, and especially for IT people, I think they would be presenting a lot of projects moving on. What is the investment versus the return that you're getting? How would you drive efficiency? You have to do these heat map analysis. And I'll also give you a very interesting example. The first session that we attended in ISP, we were taught regression. So I was coming from a telecom background. We do a lot of benchmarking, and somewhere down the line, I was struggling with benchmarking, and that was one of the projects given to me. And I had no idea about how to do this benchmarking, and how these numbers flow in, and how do you do sampling, and all these things, which are very, very important. And you'll realize that once you start doing it. And right after the first session, I went back to my organization, and I said that I've cracked it. And I've cracked it because I learned that benchmarking, and I was able to apply it right away when I started going back to my organization. So this is also, I think, one of the USPs that PGP Max has, that whatever you're taught in that 1 week of time, you can go back to your company and apply it in real time. And you can really, showcase that how you are developing. So there's going to be a lot of change, which the organization is also, the leadership team is also going to notice about you, or in the way that you work, in the way that approach things. Being from, like I said, being techie or coming from an IT background, you generally have this thing of approaching things with just a functional view, or I know it from a technical perspective, I know it from an IT perspective. But people in the higher up organization are more inclined towards looking at it as a business proposal, or what additional does it get towards my business, and how does it kind of what advantages do I have in implementing this. So there are going to be a lot of changes that you're going to see, and especially for IT and telecom people, I would coming from telecom, I would highly encourage you, because in a way you don't know what you're missing till the time you don't finish the course. So that is something that I like you all to note, that you might be coming with an attitude of I know it all, I know how it works. But to be honest, on the first day, we all realized that we had to keep our hats away. We knew nothing at all, and everything was thrown out, and we had to sit there like babies, getting all the information again, because whatever we had learned, we had to relearn everything from scratch. So that is something that you'll have to keep in mind.
Thank you, Swati. So one question for you, Raj. So there's another set of people, who have done their MBAs, some time back. So what advice would you give them? And is it advisable to invest their time and money doing PGP Max? And how about the ROI?
Well, I've certainly not done an MBA in the past, so I was certainly looking forward to doing an MBA. But I think I'll probably go back to our initial discussion on those three questions: why are you, why, or why, and when, and where. So if some of those questions have already been answered by the course that you've taken in the past, then maybe unless you're looking to learn from another set of world-class professors, I mean, that's a given, right? So about 80% of our professors who've taught us, I mean, I finished Swati and we finished 11 terms out of 12. 80% of the professors have been from outside of India, in really top business schools. And the experience that I've gained from them is, I'm not sure if I'll be able to peg that with another B school in India, but ISB is number one in the country. So, we probably have to go with that data point, saying that, the quality of professors, the research that goes into creating the curriculum and the material that's taught in each course is the best in the country. So unless, for all those who've asked that question, who've done an MBA from another business school, if you'd like to probably look at the best school in India and learn from arguably the best professors that are visiting the country, then that's reason enough for you to look at PG to Max one more time. And we're also looking forward to being part of the alumni. It's probably the most esteemed across the board. So that's another great leverage that you get from ISB. We are looking forward to being part of that and taking a lot of learning and advantage out of that. So that could be another reason for somebody who's done an MBA in the past and is looking at ISB. But apart from that, if there's anything more that ISB offers vis-a-vis the curriculum that they've already covered in the previous MBA programs, then that could be the third area. If there's net anything that they've not gained and ISB is offering through world-class professors and the alumni that I talked about, those could be the reasons why they should look at ISB. But again, like I said, just those simple questions on why, when, and where, in addition to these data points, might just help them make that decision.
Sure. Thank you, Raj. Thank you. So, Rituparna, we have a question for you. So, about the peer group network that you have in the class. So you must have interacted with people from the defense sector or pharma, healthcare industry, all these sectors that are present there in the class. So how has the interaction been with them? And what is the progress that you have seen from when you joined the class and the interaction you had with them at that point and now when you're about to finish the course?
Okay, before I even answer this question, and just to add to what Raj was saying, I'll talk a little about my journey. Once I joined PGP Max, the initial 3-4 terms that I spent, I hardly moved beyond my cohort. So whatever interaction that I was having, it was between people within the cohort, because we were forming groups, working on assignments, and that's how I would get to know them. So there were people from backgrounds like, as you mentioned, defense, pharma. Once I realized the potential of the alumni, the network that is there, and for certain reasons I had to interact, I was a part of a leadership summit and so on and so forth. The enormity of that alumni network really dawned on me. And I then backtracked and looked at all the possible things that ISB had done in those earlier terms also, where I had not really leveraged on what was available. So, today it's online, it's more of these sessions that we have online, but in those days when we were doing face-to-face classes, there were enough and more interactions happening, enough and more programs happening, professors were accessible, you could speak to any alumni, and you could do so much more than just sit in the classroom and do your lessons and submit your assignments. So that was another. So when one discusses ROI and one discusses what do I invest in terms of time and money, the ROI is also about how much of involvement you've had with the institution, because institution is doing a lot of things. Entrepreneurship, for instance, the D Labs and the other areas that are there. If you're really interested and passionate about it, you can end up talking to a lot more people than what you can ever imagine. So that's one. The next question, the question that you asked, Smriti, yes, so the groups that we formed in the class for every term, every time the group was different. And that ensured that we interact with each and every person within the cohort. And these cohorts had people from pharma, defense, IT, entrepreneurs. And that's the richness of interaction and the richness of contributions that happen, because people spoke of different things and we answered questions in that manner. So, so I don't know if this answers your question. So it's been, I think those interactions have been extremely good, enriching, and then the relationship has not just lasted within those terms. It's gone beyond, and now we connect with each other, and we know that there is no question that cannot be answered by the cohort or even the larger alumni network that is there, and everybody is approachable, and somebody or the other knows the other person where you're wanting to reach out.
Sure. Thank you, Ritu. So, Cedric, since you are based out of Greece, so a person is asking, what was the reason for selecting, PGP Max, uh, you know, other than the global executive programs out of Europe or other Asia Pac schools, and how did you manage to get a buy-in from the employer to take time away from office because you'll have to travel all the way to India to attend the program?
Okay, the first things I think I started to answer already to that question because I really wanted to go in Asia and I will go most probably in India. So in order to get the taste of India, you have to go to school there. Okay. Also, it was also about to build something different. Okay. So I know that the quality of education is very high level of India. I mean, all the European people, we know that. Okay. And if you receive a CV and you see MBA from INSEAD, this is okay. This is impressive, but this is not something unique. If you put something on the CV and you put ISB in India, the people say, okay, this is e-learning. No, I was going there. What do you mean? You are going to India? Yeah, I was going to India. So I need to fly to Delhi and then to Hyderabad. What do you mean? Every month? Yeah. And that is impressive for the people because at the end you say, okay, I did manage to keep my job. I have been promoted and I'm not there in my company for 10 days a month, but it works. So you are proving that you can do it. The second point is my job. I'm traveling a lot. I'm traveling something like 3 weeks a month. So I'm never in Greece. I spend 1 week in Greece, So most of the time, my company is not even, they don't remember, are you at school now? Are you in China? Where are you? So they don't pay attention. They are just looking the job to be done and to be well done, okay? So it's not about at my level of management to be there and to go at the office in between 8 and 18. It's about to do the job. And if you want to know if you succeed in doing that, it's because they do not understand you are at school. Why? Because the job is done. Why? Because you have been prepared and you have built a team in order to support you. That is very important because please do understand that. You will not be there, you will not be at job 1 week a month, something like that, For us, it was like that, okay? 1 week every 5, every 6, every 4 weeks, okay? It means that you have to be very well organized. And if you are very organized, it will not be any problem for the company. And the company, it's one of the main skills they want to develop to the manager, to be able to delegate. So when you go to there and you say, guy, if I am not able to follow that week, month without impacting my job, it means I cannot delegate. So it means I'm not ready. Do you want to try me now? Do you want to assess me? So please let me go there and you will see that the job will be done and you will prove it. I mean, this is exactly what I done. This is what I did. What I did. But I was very clear about that because many friends of mine went to MBA before and it was always the same story. Also, why the PGP Max? Okay, ISB, well-known school, whatever you want, but the logistic and the format of the MBA, it's 1 full week a month. It's not days a week like many schools. For example, in France, if you go to HEC or many schools, executive MBA part-time, you have to go every week. You have to go twice a month. I cannot afford that. So if I have to shift for once a month, I have to shift 1 full week. And the format was fantastic. So if you are well prepared, I do believe that the format that ISB is proposing is the best format. And I do not believe a lot in the executive full-time MBA. I have seen that in some IIMs. Why? Because you have to go back at job and try to apply and go and sit with the finance manager and to speak about valuation and to speak about beta equity and how does it work. And I know we did a project on that. Where did you get that numbers, And this is very important to make the back and forth. So I was looking for a specific format once a month, and I was looking for a part-time MBA. Okay? And at the end, when I was focusing in Asia and in India, it was very easy to choose for me. It was easy.
Thank you, Cedric. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So, Raj, I have a question for you now. So, when you were doing this decision-making process of getting, doing your MBA and, shortlisting on the schools and other things. So how do you think this course is compared to other premium institutes offering executive education, for example, the IIMs and other institutes?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I didn't look at a lot of schools back then because I wanted it to be I wanted to, I was in Hyderabad, I still am. And I had a young daughter at home, and I didn't have the luxury of time to take out and then travel and be in a different city. So that way, my choice was always ISB. But having said that, I did explore a few schools within India. I mean, I am definitely, and one school outside of India, and then sort of totally it came down to about 3 schools. But I was definitely biased towards ISB. The back of my mind, I was sure that I was going to go the course in ISB, but the IIM, from my discussions with my friends and mentors and colleagues at work, the choice was pretty clear in terms of quality of professors or the curriculum itself, the alumni, and more importantly for me personally, the location. It all weighed heavily in favor of ISB. So I didn't do a lot of research, and a few other schools in India and one outside. Yes, it did come down to that one school outside of India and ISB, but again, the time investment in travel and whatever was being covered as part of the curriculum in that school. In fact, a very good friend of mine, she goes to that school, and we keep talking after every term. Yes, it's probably rated higher than ISB today. And ISB is among the top 50 business schools when it comes to executive MBA. Maybe, and they've that school is slightly more older, and they've done this course for a longer time. But from whatever I hear from her, I don't think the experience that I've gained, the learning I've gained is behind by any means. In fact, in certain areas, she's been pleasantly surprised that we've learned more than them. The experience has been superlative. So yeah, I'm glad that I made the choice, and even if I'd done more research, I probably would have come down to data points that sort of favor ISB when it came to making that decision.
Thank you, Raj. So Rituparna, I have a question for you now. So when you joined PGP Max program, you must have had certain expectations of the program. When I get out of the program, this is what I'll be able to do. So has your expectation been met? And if it has been met, if a person is looking to change roles or do something else than what he's doing currently, would it be as advisable, with the PGP Max curriculum?
Okay, Smriti, the fact is we haven't completed a course as yet. So, how would I feel by the time I complete all my terms and I reach that point? I don't know. At this point of time, when I've kind of done more than half of it, what I can tell you is, entrepreneurship was not something that did not strike me earlier, but I did not have the courage. Neither could I manage my senses to think what would be that one great idea that I could look at. What ISB did to me was probably open that horizon where I could think of the possibilities, and it brought me closer. So as I was mentioning, that initial terms I spent just being with the cohort. Later on, I realized that there's a huge sea of people who are willing to talk to you, help you out, and things like that. That's when things dawn that it's never too late to start anything that you want to do. So you don't have to really wait till you complete the course. Whatever you would like to do, you can start right away, think, align your thoughts, seek help, and then just do what you want. So whether it's helped me, yes, of course it has. It's definitely given me for certain matters, I would say when we got to the class, I was coming with a baggage of many years of experience. So I thought I would know a little more than the rest of them. But then, as Swati had mentioned earlier, everything got dashed because I realized that, everybody was smarter than me. The other bit of it that also I realized is there are certain things that are strengths and skills that we have, which helps us through. So it could be a communication bit, or it could be about your emotional intelligence, your leadership quality, your ability to balance things. Those come in handy, and no course can really teach you, so to say. But having said that, this journey has been extremely encouraging, I would say, and I don't feel that I'm less than anyone even after completing half of the course. So it's given me that confidence, and the fact that if you have to start something, start right away. I mean, you don't have to wait for anything to happen. PGP Max, as you know, does not really talk of a career support, because people come with a lot of experience. So we were also not told that there'll be career support services in terms of, us getting placement, because that's not what we looked for when we joined the course. Most of us were already into good roles and we were doing things. Of course, that transition could have happened if I know if I have the learning and the knowledge, I can seek out and look for opportunities that come my way. So it gives me a lot of strength and confidence that I'll be able to do what I want to after this as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ritu. So Swati, a person is asking, so the learnings that you have had in the class or with the peer group or during the week that you're at the campus, were you able to apply the learnings in your work area or in your role that you're doing? And was there any point that you thought, if I could have, if there was a certain point in the course and I learned that, probably that would have helped me more? So was there something missing in the course that you feel could have been added?
Missing in the course, I don't think so, because I came like I was a completely empty book when I started the course, because I didn't know anything about business. Like I said, I only knew about telecom and being a techie person. I knew everything about engineering, but I had zero knowledge about how the business works and everything around it. So with every course and every term that I finished, I think I learned a lot. What's been missing? I don't think anything has been missing, because even the concepts which have been taught, we have kind of applied simulation, and like I said, I kind of practiced all the concept when I went back to the organization, trying to see where I can give my value add, or even if it was change management and if our organization was going through some changes, to see how the learnings that I've got, how can I apply it practically. And to be honest, the simulations that we do in class, so there are a lot of simulations that we do. The entire term and entire course is based out of cases, and it's actually real life experience that you are dealing with. So even if you're talking about finance, you're actually looking at real balance sheets, and you're trying to crunch numbers which are real. It's not something which has been just made as a as a dummy scenario, but it's all real life cases that we do the studies on. So I think I've just learned and learned and learned. Maybe down the lane after 4-5 years, if I feel something has been missing, I might be able to comment on that. But to be honest, I have learned a lot, so it's not something that I have I have missed from ISB for sure.
Smriti, if I can add to that.
Yes.
I mean, there have been many times that once we've completed a particular term, we felt that a certain course could have included a lot of things, or we have debated within us, whether this also had to be covered, or if this could have been done differently. But I thought that was quite a natural fallout of a good program, where we are being able to think what we require, what we need more, and what we need to do. So an exec MBA is not supposed to teach you everything. There will be something or the other which is missing. And the idea is learning how to learn. If I have a certain thing that I think needs to be covered, I can always take a step further and pick it up myself, or seek help from any of the professors, the academic associates who are there. And always, I mean, if it happens within the term, of course, and the professors do give you accessibility if you're wanting to know something more. You can always write to them and they definitely respond back stating what is it that you have missed out on. So I don't think that I ever felt that everything was complete. It cannot be. It's not possible. In 7 days, you really cannot cover everything possible. But yes, what was covered was definitely overwhelming for me as well. The way Swati said that we were learning and learning. But when you go back and start reading and starting, then that's when you kind of feel that, yes, this also could have been good, or we could have learned it differently as well. But I think that's what they want us to reach, that we debate, we understand, we think. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for putting it out so beautifully, Ritu. So, Cedric, I have a question for you. So, how was your week typically at ISB when you were here for the course?
My week at ISB, okay, the first days were very difficult for me because coming from Greece, we have the jet lag, okay, first things. And the second point that is combined with the terrible travel, I have 2 flights to go there, so it can be Bahrain or it can be Delhi, then I have to commute and then ISB. Sometimes very long connection because it's not very convenient from Greece. So that is the big start, So you have to be fresh. So it was my stress just before to go there, how I can adapt myself, my daily life to be, fresh on arrival. And it's a very long journey. That is very complicated. Okay? This is the first thing. The second point is, okay, you have the jet lag and you have quite different weather. For most of the people in India, it's quite cold. We're speaking about very basic stuff. It's different country. It's very hot for me, and it's very, very, very hard for me physically. I'm always missing my classmate there. I'm always missing the campus. So when I'm going there, I'm very, very happy. I arrive very late in the evening or in the morning. The first things that I'm doing is try to connect with some people there that also commuting, arriving at 5, 6, 3 a.m. Try to understand who is landing at which time. This is just crazy. You are crossing the wall and you are meeting the guy, the classmate at the airport. You're going together to get the taxi and to go to the campus. Listen, the first 3 days are very hard for me because of that jet lag and the amount of work you have to do. And this is very hard. I'm not sure it's that different for me except for the jet lag because this is something that you have to fight. Okay, you just want to sleep. The first hours, the first 2 days are very, very difficult. Okay, and after you are in the flow and you just follow the flow exactly as the people said. You don't have time to think because you have to debate, you have to learn, you have to sit, you have to eat. It's a routine, that is very fast tracked, and you do not see the week. The first 2 days you have to try to fight to wake up, and after when you open your eyes, this is already the end of the period, and you are very satisfied and you are looking for the next one. So what I can tell you, I don't know what is my main feeling when I arrive, but I can tell you when I leave the campus, I feel empty, and that's the point. Because even if I try hard, I do not have that level of interaction at job. Sometimes, you will in the office, you will see 1, 2, 3 high caliber, the right people. When you're at ISB in the class, maybe you have 80% high caliber. So the level of discussion, the level of debate you have in the class, this is something that is quite amazing. That's my point, So I'm always looking forward to meet the campus and the people there.
Thank you, Cedric. So Raj, I have a question for you. So, when we speak to the candidates, and even the candidates have posted quite a few questions here. So, the fees of the program is quite high, and they have a lot of questions running in mind if they should spend that amount in that course, or should they select another program because of the fees. So, what should your advice be to these students?
Well, it is the best program in the country, so it is going to come at a price. And it's like how it's each individual has their own career journey and career aspirations and personal commitments. It's that individual's call whether in terms of how their finances look to. But I'm sure there are companies which sort of sponsor these programs. Microsoft does as well to some extent. But the question is, what's the return? And the return, and personally, I think I was not looking at an immediate return. It's to me, it's an investment for the rest of your life. The experience that you gain, the people that you meet, and the alumni that you're going to engage with, and how you're going to be associated with the institution for the years ahead. So that's going to be the return. It's not just the material and the learning that you take. I mean, that obviously is the motivation. But when you're investing that sort of time, effort, and money, the return is limitless, in my opinion. It's up to the individual to leverage the institution, that the alumni, the network for his or her career and personal aspirations. Like, there are various forums. It's not just about interacting with the alumni, like Ritu mentioned. There are many other avenues that you can participate in, stay actively connected with the community, and I think the learning and what you can get out of this engagement with ISB is your own personal call, and it's limitless. So the possibilities, the opportunities, and all the learning that you're going to get collectively is, I don't know if you can put a price to that or a cost to that. It's and that's what you're investing in. And to me, there's no better investment than investing in yourself, in your learning experience, in your career, as a professional and as a human being. So I'm not sure if you can put a number to that, but is it expensive? Well, like I said, I think it's an individual's call and on how their bank balance looks every month.
Sure. Thank you, Raj. Thank you. So Swati, when we were discussing this initially, you said that you were looking at PGP also, to enroll. So what made you change to PGP Max, and why did you join PGP, or for that matter, PGP Pro? Did you look at it, and why did you join that course?
Okay. So, like I said, I was looking at PGP, and there's of course a difference when you're sitting with someone with 5 years of experience and you already have crossed that mark of 5 years, and you are in that 10 plus bracket where you want to, of course, have a lot of discussions with the higher up in the organization, be it some directors or MDs who are also a part of your cohort. So there's a lot of learning which comes with the cohort. It's more of like a peer group learning there. So PGP, I kind of put it out of my question because it's very basic and fundamental. So once you start enrolling yourself into PGP Max, you realize that a lot of things that we would be talking about, or the case studies are around already, they kind of assume that you already have certain level of experience and you have kind of faced those problems or those kind of scenarios in your organization journey as well. And then they take you a notch higher. So you are already starting out with a level which is, of course, a little higher than basic. Why I didn't go for a PGP Pro is because I was very clear that I want that 1 week of in-campus experience. And sitting with your colleagues, having that entire cohort feel, it's back to college in a way. So you are kind of having that experience of sitting in the campus, doing simulations, doing case studies. Like I also mentioned in one of the interviews in FT, it's like a pressure cooker, right? So they kind of put you inside a pressure cooker which is just going to explode. So that kind of feel when when Cedric was mentioning about, and Rituparna was mentioning about the case studies, the sleepless nights, that experience can only come from a PGP Max. So that would be my take on why I wanted to do a PGP Max.
Sure. Thank you, Swati. So Cedric, I have another question for you. So do you think you need any skills or any learning that you need to do before you take the decision of joining an executive MBA?
In order to prepare in between, it depends on your first education. It's something like that. All the time when the big shock for me was the finance class. I mean, I think Swati and maybe Raj can comment on that. Maybe it was half of what I have done because I have completed ATM. It was very hard. It was very hard for me because I am an engineer. I didn't know anything about finance, just the name. Yeah, P&L, accounting, okay, but not more, And all the time I was trying to figure out, I should have been prepared. I should have read some books. I should have, but you learn with pain, you learn with mistake. And I think it's very important, So it's like, you want to get the license for driving. Maybe you should have done some course with your friend. No, you will get the wrong pattern. So let's work together. And it's a team effort, you know. So at the end, I did it. I mean, it was very hard, and I did it. I can tell you something. When I started to go there, I was crying, you know, coming back the first time. I said, "Wow, I will not get it." And after the first finance classes, I'm saying, "I'm out. I mean, I cannot do it." Really, I mean, it was a shock for me. And I said, "Why you did not prepare? Why you did not make, I don't know, online master of science in finance, whatever you want?" But what happened after 4 terms? I started to go to my finance department and there was some question about some, you know, stuff. And they told me, Cedric, it's too advanced for us. I can tell you something that the guy whom I have asked as a master of finance from Bocconi. And after 4 terms, I asked some question to the guy and told me it's too advanced for me. So no, I was not prepared, but I got it. So no need to stress for that. You will do it. You will not do it alone. You will suffer a bit, believe me. And you need that format. You need the case study. You need the professor. You need to ask. You need the tutorial. I mean, it's not something that you can do alone, you know. And if you go in a finance class with a lot of professionals from finance, okay, maybe they will support you. If you go in a class and you do not have any expert in finance, believe me, that will be a great experience, and you will grow with the classmate. So yes, maybe some finance basics first, but it's not needed because you will become a kind of expert at the end. So I would say no. I would say no. You will do it, yeah, but it's hard, and you have to deserve it. You have to work for that. Believe me.
So Smriti, if I may add, the only preparedness that you need is the willingness to learn and to say that, you know, okay, I don't know it, but I'm there to learn. So that is something that you have to come with, you know, a positive attitude. And then everything's taken care of. So they are brilliant professors. They're going to, you know, walk you through things and they're going to make things easier for you. They also understand where you're coming from, and they also have that in mind, and they guide you, and, you know, they try and mold you accordingly. So rest you have to trust the professors, but you should be willing to learn.
Thank you, Swati.
I'd probably just add,
Yes.
you know, the willingness to unlearn as well. You know, that's another key element that I personally experience. You know, you should be open to take that hat off, saying that the know-it-all sort of attitude and shift towards a learn-it-all attitude. And it's a very humbling experience, and you'll have to be prepared for that, and it will teach you that. So that's another philosophical element that the course sort of brings in. You know, it gives you a completely different lens to look at a given business problem or even a personal problem. So I thought I'd just add that.
Sure. Thank you, Raj. So, Ritu, I have a question for you now. So, you know, since you're working on a startup and you have this program going on, and I believe personal things also would be taking up a lot of your time. So, how did you manage all these things and how did you try to juggle between them?
The startup thing happened at a time when the pandemic had set in, and I was anyway, working from home, so family was kind of taken care of. But it's been a constant struggle. I could tell you this. As we were mentioning about what skills do we require, while it's not a skill, but discipline is an important aspect of this entire program. You know, for every term that you start, you'll have to study, you'll have to do the pre-reads before you end up being there. Even on the days when you have classes, you'll have to continuously learn or do assignments or be on top of it. So it is not easy, but it's manageable. I mean, if you can focus, if you can prioritize, if you can put it in silos and you can create a good to-do list, you can manage all of it quite well. I'm very certain that, you know, we may struggle initially, but then you do get to understand how to manage it well, so that you know how much of time you would require to learn, to read, to do the pre-reads, to go through the case studies. Each of those cases would run into some 15-20 pages, you know, and analyzing them, doing group work also would take time. But if you plan it well in advance, I think it's manageable. I don't think it's a major issue.
Thank you, Ritu. Swati, now I have a question for you. So, when you joined this program, you were with Nokia working for a different or for the same thing. So, while doing this course, do you see that there has been like a career shift or, you know, change in role that has happened after doing this program? Or people might be seeing you in a different way with all the knowledge and learning that you have got here at the program?
Completely, Smriti. I think the way that I used to approach things, like I mentioned, has completely changed, and it's also the way that I talk to the senior management and the leadership team as well. So, of course, I have been promoted internally with on the basis of what I've been doing, and as of course they also saw the potential of me being a part of the leadership team. So that has been of course taken care of, and I think but it's more of it's more of a personal journey. It's more of learning the things and understanding how your organization can also learn from the teachings that you're getting into the organization from ISB. You kind of have a different angle to things because you view the same problem a little differently. When you are in an organization for 11 or 12 years, you basically close your doors and you just have like one way of thinking and looking at things. So coming from an organization which of course has been going through continuous changes, we of course also view changes from like a central point, this is how it's done and this is what is right. uh, what I added to the organization was basically a different angle, because I would go back to them and say that, why didn't we look at this aspect of it, which of course is, coming from one of the teachings of ISB. And the leadership team would also very humbly look into it, because they know that, what I'm saying is out of some kind of, experience, or I'm talking from, some cases which are already being done. And they are also kind of willing to learn the new aspects of things, because they also see that being in the organization for a long time, they might be missing out on something. So to just put this entirely into one frame, I'll say that it's more of how you get changed into a different individual all of a sudden. So like Rituparna told, spoke about time management. You kind of it kind of begins to develop in itself. So you are more aware of time, you are more aware of things which need priority and which do not need priority. So you try and prioritize things, because over the 15 months you are going to do it consciously, unconsciously. You are going to prioritize things. You are going to understand what is actually important and what is not. And those kind of concepts start building, and it becomes a part of your behavior. So it's kind of tuning the mind in a way. So that kind of shift you're going to notice, and as well as people who have been working with you are going to notice that shift in your behavior. So we speak about it more from that angle. Being a drastic career change that you're going to get something exceptionally well after the minute that you finish your course, that's not going to happen. It's something that you're investing on, and you're going to get the benefits over a longer period of time. So of course your organization, if you're working in some organization, they're of course going to see the changes in you, but also you are going to get different opportunities based on the work that you'll start doing. So the projects that you would be handling and the confidence that the leadership team is going to start having in you, on the basis of that you would be seeing your growth path. So it's not going to be a miracle which happens after 15 months of you finishing the course. It's more of a personal journey.
Sure. Thank you, Swati. So, Raj, I have a question for you. So, have you been able to leverage the alumni network, and how has your experience and approach been?
Not yet. I think we have to finish the course to gain access to the alumni. But having said that, in some of the the leadership events that have been conducted by ISB and the various programs that they constantly run, you get to sort of virtually connect with some of the alumni members, learn from their experiences. But from my friends who've completed courses in ISB, they vouch for the amount of value the alumni network brings. So I can't wait to complete the course and gain access to that network and learn from them as well. And we're just one term away, and really looking forward to that happening. But it's that's one of the main reasons why ISB was right on top of my list when I decided to take up PGP Max.
Sure. Thank you, Raj. So, we have just 5 minutes left for the session. So, any parting thoughts, for the prospective candidates that you have? So, Cedric, we can begin with you.
Well, sorry, I did not hear you.
So, I'm saying it's just 5 minutes for the session
okay.
to get over. Any parting thoughts that you have?
you know, all the time the people are trying to think about the payback. And I do believe that in this kind of program, you will not get what you deserve. You have to take it. When you enter an MBA, exactly what Swati was saying, it's about priorities. You know, most of the time I had a lot of meetings with my management, and sometimes it's getting boring. You can see in the eyes of the people. Why? Because I assume that what you feel, what is very important for you is not important for the people. So when you enter the MBA, all the topics, they are posted and they are all yellow. And when you leave the MBA, you start to put some color, a yellow one, a blue one, a pink one. Then I told you, you have to take it. I came back one day and I made a presentation on this blue one that are very important. And I say, in my opinion, this is what we should do. And I put a roadmap at the end, just something like that. And my manager changed the title of the last slide and he put Cedric new position. You have to take it. This is what I want to say. I mean, this is very important. And sometimes the shift is doable. I will do it. For example, I will move to private equity. How to do that? You get promoted, you are less functional, more multi-task guy. Then my next move, it's already the discussion in the company, I will move to the finance department. Why? Because we do buy, like all the industry, 80% of the P&L. So what is to do in between technical staff and finance is something that you cannot value. When you have the skill of finance, it's very easy. After I'm not promoted, I'm shifting internally. It is why if you want to make a big shift, you have to do it, in my opinion, in 2 steps. The first one, this is internally. Show you can create value in HR, in finance, whatever you want, and go there. If you manage to shift in HR, maybe you will be a partner to Korn Ferry. They will like you. You are an expert in your industry and you have an experience in HR. You went to finance, you can go to private equity. It happens to many friends of mine. You have to be very clear about your goal and how you will achieve the goal. It's not just to get the diploma and someone will ring the bell and give you, increased salary. It's not how it works. You have to take it. You have to plan it. That's my advice. My takeaway.
Thank you, Cedric. Rituparna, any parting thoughts from you?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing, of course, remains that you will have to figure out that why for yourself. Without that, I think it makes no sense for you to move ahead. So if your why answers all the questions, then ISP answers all those questions and also helps you to figure out why do you need this program, what are you doing it for, and things like that. I think that's the time when you should look at it. The other is your commitment. Your commitment is not just about doing the program, getting a certificate. The commitment is an investment that you're making for your life, for your learning, for your career. So, and doing things beyond the classroom. So that commitment needs to be 100%. And no miracle will happen at the end of the course. Nobody's going to come to your doorstep and say, here's the job, the next job, and you're getting to be the CEO of the company and things like that. Nothing's going to happen like that. But what's going to happen is it's definitely going to change your mindset. And we're talking of mindset here because it's all there. Because if we make things happen, it's because of our mindset. And if we do not, that's also because of our mindset. So be very clear about that and move ahead.
Thank you, Ritu. Swati, any tips from you?
Like I said, you don't know what you're missing till the time you don't do the course. So once you enroll yourself, that's the only time that you'll get to know exactly what you were missing in your life. But being said that, you also have to align personally and professionally, because it's very important to get your professional organization on board with your aspirations of this journey that you want to take. It's very important to get that support because you are going to be out for certain days a month, and you will have to work very hard because once you get back to the organization, they're going to expect more out of you. They are going to expect a lot, so you'll have to kind of keep that in mind. Also personally, because your family kind of takes a back seat, so they have to be very supportive of this initiative of yours and the willingness of you to do this course. And like Rituparna also said, why you're doing it has to be crystal clear, because you have to visit it again and again to understand why you took this plunge. So those would be my thoughts.
Thank you, Swati. Raj, from you now.
Sure, I'll keep it short. So it's very clear that this program involves significant amount of investment in terms of time, effort, and finance, right? So you are going to take a significant amount of time away from your home, from your work. So it's going to be extremely demanding, the 15 months, right? But if you're going to stack that up against returns in the near term, maybe that's not the right thing to do. So, you'll have to look at it as an investment for life. The returns will come with time. You'll have to be patient. Yes, an executive MBA can boost your chances of getting an exciting role. And data is out there. When you just search on one of the browsers out, you will know that there's a percentage increase in one's compensation or the type of role that one would get at the end of the program. But that's a percentage. If you're willing to wait it out, and more importantly, if you're willing to put yourself out there, take the know-it-all hat away, and become vulnerable and keep yourself open to as much learning, you'll be surprised at how much you don't know and how much there's to learn. And that learning journey continues. It's for life. It's not for those 15 months. So if you're prepared for that long wait, if you're willing to make that investment, then there's nothing better than an executive MBA program in ISB in India, at least for folks here in India. But like Cedric vouched, is this part of the world, you will end up with a lot of pluses when you look back at some point in time. So hopefully we've helped a lot of folks here with some of the insights that we've gained from the program. And I wish everybody, once again, Happy New Year and all the very best in your life and profession.
Thank you, Raj. In fact, thank you all the panelists. That was a wonderful session, and I hope the people who are looking to join the program would have got some of their queries cleared from the session that you gave. And for the audience, if you have any further queries specifically related to the program, you can stay back and we can have a chat later. And thank you, panelists. Thank you for joining in again.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Smriti.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
So participants, if you have any questions, I'd allow you to, talk. Please raise your hands and then I can allow you to talk and, you can ask your questions after. Audience, if you have any questions, please raise your hands. We can take it up. Yes, Hitesh, I'm allowing you to talk. Please, feel free to ask about the program.
Hey, thanks, Swati, first of all, to arranging this. So, yeah, I have around 9 years of experience in the quality assurance engineer in the IT.
Okay.
So, what should I select, either for the 2 years of full MBA course or for the PGPS? What should be the better option for me? So that's I'm a little bit confused.
Okay, so how many years of experience did you say you
have? Close to 9 years of experience.
Okay. See, PGP Max, the minimum eligibility to apply is 10 years, and you should have completed 10 years by 31st July. So that is the minimum experience that we allow to take the PGP Max students. Otherwise, you can also look at PGP Pro, which is, with average experience is 8 to 9 years in the class. So that is something, you can look at.
Is there any difference between Max and Pro?
Yes. So Max, the average experience in the class of people studying is 16 years, whereas in Pro, it's 8 to 9 years. So that is one of the difference. Then the format is different. PGP Pro is an alternate weekend program, whereas in PGP Max, you have to come to the campus for 1 week every 4 to 6 weeks. And plus the faculty that teaches both the programs are also different because, it caters to a different set of different segments, I would say. So,
okay, got it.
Sure. Thank you, Hitesh. Swati, I see you have a question. I've allowed you to talk.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So, Smriti, what is the chances of having in-class sessions, right? 1 week you said, and with this COVID situation, what is the chances of having that as per the schedule from August 2021?
See, so as of now, the current students or the session that has started in 2020, so the 2 terms were online, and then January onwards, so this month onwards, they're expected to come on campus. So I'm assuming by August 2021, things should have got to normal, and then we can start the in-campus classes. So that's not sure, but yeah, that's what we see.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. Chetan, I have allowed you to talk. If you have any question.
Hi, thanks for this. I just have just a following question that Swati has asked. So what I've heard from the panelist is there is 1 week of in-campus, and I assume that will start in 2021. But how about once this 1 week of session is done, what happens next? Means for the rest of the days, will there be any online sessions, or there will be enough assignments that you may need to complete for rest of the month, and then resume back next month for that 1 week again back to campus?
Sure. So Chetan, what happens when you're at the campus? It's the normal classes that go on and assignments that are given to you. But when you're not in campus, the rest of the 4 or 5 weeks that you're not in campus, so then you're given case studies and other reading materials or assignments to be done. So there are no classes during those break period that you have, but there will be reading materials that you need to go to before coming to the next session.
Okay, and can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
What are the key dates that we are looking for 2021? I could not find that information, unfortunately. I might have missed it.
Okay.
So what are the key dates for 2020 for the next batch?
Sure. So the admission process has started, although the last day to apply is 21st March 2021, but you can still go ahead and start your application and fill it up. And then, April mid is somewhere, the interviews will happen. And towards the end of April, the offers will be released. And then, the Harvard case study, Harvard reading materials will be given to you. These are called the pre-reading materials before coming to the class. And then 1st August 2021, the classes will begin.
Oh, so 1st August. Okay. Okay. And will there be a selection criteria? Like I have heard that you will need, do we have to submit GRE score or GMAT score for this?
No. So it's only application and interview scores that are taken into account when selecting a candidate.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for this.
Thank you, Chetan. Pramod, I think you have a question. I have allowed you to talk. You can unmute yourself and talk.
Hi, myself Pramod. So I already in continuation with what has been asked previously, I'm from United States. So I was just concerned about traveling and attending the course every 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So you have mentioned that starting from August, there might be, chance that, we attend at the ISB, right?
Right.
Okay. So in continuation with that, how is the international immersion, that's done? Like I see a schedule, like the calendar that's published online for the 21-22.
Right.
I think something down like in May and August of next year, there is the international immersion. So do you know in specific, like what locations that is going to be?
So one is US and the US in Wharton. So the Pennsylvania University, that is for sure. And the other is one of the Southeast Asian business schools, could be Hong Kong or Singapore. Although it's not finalized yet, it was SEEBS earlier in Shanghai, but due to the current Indo-China relations, I think SEEBS will not be happening, but instead of that, one of the Asian business schools, other Asian business schools will come across.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Pramod. Sunit, if you have a question, I have allowed you to talk. You are unmuted if you have any question. Sure. Senthil, you have a question. I have allowed you to talk. You can unmute yourself, please.
Okay. So my question is, so it's a regarding scholarship. I understand you have a scholarship option for the PGP Max and Pro. So what is the criteria for the scholarship? How does it operate? And so is there any expectations that one should match to avail such a scholarship? And what kind of scholarship, what percentage of scholarship of the total tuition fee is offered to a candidate? So can you just throw some light on those?
Sure. So we have around 5 categories of scholarship. So one is defense, people working in the defense sector, then people working in the social sector, people associated with the government sector, and then one women and women entrepreneurs. And the fifth is a merit-based scholarship. So for merit-based scholarship, your profile is taken into account, and your interview scores are calculated. And then once you submit your scholarship request, then the committee goes through the request and they see the scores and the evaluation, and then they decide to give you a scholarship. The scholarship is generally around 20 to 25% of the tuition fees is waived off, and in a batch of around 75, we have around 10-15 people receiving scholarships.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Sunit, I have allowed you to talk. If you still have a question, you can unmute yourself, please. You have unmuted, but I can't hear you. Sunit, hello? I can't hear you, Sunit. You're speaking anything.
Hello.
Hello? Yeah, Sunit.
Hello.
Yeah, Sunit. Yeah, I am able to hear you now.
Hello.
Yeah, Sunit. I'm able to hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I have just one question. What I understand, this PGP Max is 15 months course, right?
Yes.
It's a 15 months course, and is it completely through virtual classroom, or it's a hybrid of?
It's not a hybrid. Okay. You have to come to campus every 4 to 6 weeks for 1 week, and that's when the classes happens in that week. And once you go back, there'll be assignments and case studies which will be given to you before you come for the next term.
Okay, so it's not it's neither virtual, not entire 15 months in campus. It's like having
it's a modular. Yes.
Modular.
Yes.
Right. And what's your criteria for admission into this? I have an experience of 10 years plus. Okay. I'm a chartered accountant. So what's the criteria?
So Sunit, you have to apply online with the application form, and then your application gets evaluated and shortlisted for the interview. And depending on your scores in the interview, you'll be given the offer.
Okay, and your next intake is, I think, April, March and April?
2021 August.
August, okay. Fine, thank you.
Sure, thank you, Sunit.
Thanks.
Vishal, you have a question, right?
Hi, Swati. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, first of all, wish you a very happy new year.
Same to you, Vishal.
Yeah, so I have a follow-up question on scholarship. So, which you highlighted that, there are 10 to 15 people who in a batch of 75 get a chance to avail the scholarship. So, is that bracket only for the last, I would say, last bracket, which you said only on the merit basis, which is given to 10 to 15 people, or it's the total number?
Total number of students receiving a scholarship is 10 to 15.
Okay, so all 5 brackets,
yes.
And together will.
Yes.
Okay. And what is the stage when you have to apply for this? Once you are through with the interview process and all.
So generally, as soon as you get a interview schedule, and get to know that you have been shortlisted for the interview, that is the point of time we expect you to inform us, because after the interview is done, it's a very fast process where your scores are evaluated and then the offers are prepared and that's shared with you. So ideally that's the point of time. Although even after that, if you share, we will share it to the admissions committee, but it entirely depends on them if they wish to give the approval for the scholarship.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal. So if you don't have any follow-up questions. Pramod, I think you have a question. I've allowed you to talk. You again raised your hand.
Hi, I'm from United States. So one question I have is, after completing this program, are there any job placements through
So see,
ISB?
yeah, placements are not a part of this program. In fact, any EMBA, do not offer placements as a part of their EMBA programs. But yes, career transition services are a part of the program where, you get to network with the alumni and you have, career workshops and, different industry connects that we offer to you. So these are a part of career transition services which you can avail.
Okay. And can I ask another question,
Yes,
please?
yes.
So is there any separate application for international, like
No, it's the same
applying from
application.
US?
No, it's the same application for everyone.
Okay. And it's the same stream,
Yes,
not
same.
different
No.
quota or anything? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Pramod.
Swati.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anita, I have allowed you to talk. You have a question, right?
Yes, yeah, thank you. Hi, Swati. I just had a quick question about, you said for the application for the PGP Max and the PGP Pro, you do not require GMAT or GRE. Is that only for these two programs, or you also have the full-time 2-year program, right?
Yeah, the full-time 2-year program requires a GRE GMAT score.
Oh, okay. So I thought this is maybe COVID related, but that's
No.
not the issue, is it? These two programs don't have it all the time?
No, they don't have it.
I see. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alvin, you have a question?
Yeah, and my question is this AICTE approved or is it industry recognized? I just want to know.
It's not AICTE or UGC approved. It's industry recognized, and the the certificate that you get towards the end of the program is a diploma. It's not a degree certificate.
Okay.
Swati, you have a question again?
Yeah, I understood that we have already completed round 1, right? So is there anything like 50% we will be filling the seats for round 1 and rest of the seats in round 2, anything like that? Or
no, it's not a demarcation of 50 to 50. If we have good number of candidates, by good number of candidates, I mean if we have good profiles. So, 70% of the class could get filled in the first round and the rest of it in the second round. So there's no demarcation for round 1.
okay, and that will not be disclosed, is it? I mean, like how many is filled in round 1?
No. Can't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Chetan, you have a question?
Yes. So in this particular course of 15 months, will there be any specializations that we typically do in a normal MBA, where in the second year you will opt for, let's say, marketing or HR or something like that, or is it a general?
It's a general management program, Chetan.
General management.
There's no specialization in it.
Okay, and you also mentioned that it is the certificate that you get at the end of the program is a diploma and not a PG, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, but we are calling this as a PGP program, isn't it? Or
postgraduate program in management for senior executives, but yeah, since it's not UGC or AICTE recognized, we can't give degree certificates there.
Okay, and what's the number of intake per batch?
75
I heard
people 75. In the class. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. So so for now we have come towards the end of the session. Thank you all for joining in and have a great year ahead. Thank you so much.